Welcome to the LumiCast, your premier gateway to the universe of limitless photo editing. Dive into the galaxy of Luminar software and the dynamic world of AI photo editing. Join us weekly for a burst of creativity and the drive to transform your photos with confidence and skill. Broadcasting directly from Clever Photographer headquarters, it's time to welcome your hosts, Jakub and Holly Linton.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of LumiCast, the podcast where we talk about photography, photo editing, and our love of Luminar Neo. I'm your host, Holly Linton. And of course, we have beside me today our clever photographer, Jakub and a very special guest. His name is René Siebring. He's an interior and architecture photographer from the Netherlands. And today we're here to talk about an exciting topic, photography workshops. And not just any basic workshop. We're going to talk about something epic that everybody should have on their bucket list. So welcome, fellas.
Hello, Holly. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Nice being here, Holly.
Nice to meet you, René.
How exciting talking about workshops. I'm so excited because we love workshops. Have you ever been on a workshop, Holly?
I've only been on some basic, like a weekend workshop and maybe a daytime workshop at a camera store. So nothing epic, nothing week-long like we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited to hear more about it and maybe join in on one.
Awesome. Well, take us away.
All right. I have about 11 questions to ask these guys today. So we'll just kind of alternate. I'm going to start with Jakub. And why don't we just talk at first about just what are the basics of photography workshops? What are they really like? How is it different from maybe somebody just doing an online workshop?
Great. So starting with important question. When it comes to photography workshop, the first thing I like to say is that it's really a lot about learning by doing. You know, you really take 3, 4, 7, 10, 11 days away from your daily life. You go away somewhere, you spend their time with photographers and you practice the art of photography. Quite often, obviously, with professionals because you have a guide alongside you. But often there are maybe people who have other skills than you. So they help you along the way and they just help you to improve your photography.
So you'd say there's more of a benefit to being in person with that instructor.
Definitely.
All right. René, so now I should say that Jakub and René and one of their pals, Hans, hosts a workshop. So what kind of a person would join a workshop like the one you guys do? Is it a advanced photography or beginners or a little bit of everything?
It's open for everybody. And the nice part of having workshops is that since we are the three of us, we can help everybody from a different perspective and a different knowledge of photography. We've had somebody who just started photography, did most of their photography with an iPhone and wanted to switch to more of the photography itself with a camera and DSLR and a lens. So we taught her how to do the settings of the camera as well as take the pictures. But it's also very open for everybody who's had a lot of experience already with photography, because then there's different things to discuss, the lights, how do you do it, what's needed. When we arrange that, you're on the right time at the right spot. So for everybody, it's open to everyone, and it doesn't really matter if you have a lot of experience or not, because we can focus on both. And of course, if you have a lot of experience, you can do a lot by yourself. And if you have a little bit less experience, you might need a little bit more of our help. But since we are the three of us, we can help everybody, and we work in small groups, which helps also to give everybody the attention that they need.
Yeah, so don't be afraid if you're a beginner. Go on an epic workshop. All right, great. All right, on to the next question. So, Jakub, what would be like a typical day on a photography workshop?
So I think it will probably vary based on the workshop and the location, but in very simple way, if we are on a location where the sunrise is available, we can wake up quite early. Now, depending on the location, time of the year, that can be at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, or maybe a little later. It doesn't really matter. But basically, we get up for the sunrise. Either it's close to the hotel or where we're staying, or maybe we have to drive a little bit. But the goal is to be there long in advance enough to be able to set up everything, get ready, and be ready for the first light to come up. Generally, this is a great time because people bond together and have fun and a little bit of joking around, and then be really ready to start. If people have any questions, they need help, we're also there to help. It's a kind of fun thing to do in the morning, and we start with that. After that, after the sunrise happens, we return back to the hotel, and most of the time we have a breakfast right there, because we usually come back around, 7, 8 o'clock. So we have a breakfast, and actually we go back to bed, everybody, because, if you wake up at 3 in the morning, it would be quite a long day if you wouldn't. So we go back to bed, and then we meet again, usually around midday when we have a lunch. And again, depending on the location, we may travel somewhere, or if we're staying at the place, we may do editing workshop, so we edit the pictures from the morning or maybe from the previous days or so on. Or we do a little bit of networking, talking about photography and talking about different adventures and so on. When the afternoon comes, we start to prepare for the afternoon shoot, because again, we're looking for that golden hour sunset time. Depending on the time, we may have a dinner before, or we take dinner with us, and we head again to a great location for a sunset or golden hour photography. We photograph there until all the light disappear, and usually completely knackered, return to the hotel where people just have their free time. They can do whatever they want, but some people go and have a glass of wine. Some people go straight to bed because they will have to wake up again the next day nice and early. So the days are maybe quite full on, but you're there for the photography, right? So you kind of try to use as much opportunities as you have, and you still get your morning rest and often the afternoon rest and so on. And while this seems to be quite full on, it is always up to you to decide if you want to join the activity or not. So let's say that you're not really a morning person and it's not your thing. You can easily just stay in a hotel. You don't have to come with us. It's not like a mandatory thing. It's not some kind of school trip where you have to follow step by step. It's up to you, but obviously we provide the opportunity, as René mentioned already.
All right, so it's a full day. To prepare for a workshop, somebody should try to practice waking up early, maybe a couple weeks in advance.
And staying up late.
Or going to bed early. Okay, on to our next question. This will be for René. What's the atmosphere like in the group once everyone gets comfortable? Because I imagine when a group of strangers first comes together, maybe they're a little bit nervous. Does it get better as the days go by?
It does get better and the days go by. We try to organize our workshop that when everybody arrives on the first day, we have a meal together in the hotel. So we collect everybody in the city of arrival. And then that's the first time people get acquainted to each other. And you quickly see if people bond together or don't. There's, of course, many different kinds of people. But the most important part is that after this evening or the day after, everybody gets at ease to know, okay, I'm here to make nice photos and everything is okay. If I ask a lot of questions, it's okay. If I don't ask a lot of questions, it's also okay. You do what's most natural to the person itself. So if you feel like I'm insecure, I need to ask a lot of questions, feel free. And if you're not, that's also okay. And after a day, maybe 1.5 days, people get at ease and the atmosphere in the group is joyful. We like to have fun. Photography is a fun thing to do. It's brilliant to be at the right spot on the right time with people who love photography. So that's where the bonding already is. And by having all the breakfasts and the lunches and the dinners arranged, so people know we will bring them there and they are at ease. We just take them and it's for them to feel as happy as possible.
Great. Sounds wonderful.
Maybe to add to that, one thing that really helps with it is also that with our workshops, everybody has their own room, ensuite room, so while everybody has a different personality and, like René says, some people like to talk a lot, some people are more maybe introvert and they just like to stay quiet. I think that safety or that kind of comfort of their own room really helps with that. So they just kind of come out whenever they're ready to interact and so on. So that really helps with the overall atmosphere as well, where I know that some other workshops, maybe you share a room and that just adds a little bit of maybe a stressful element because you don't know who you're going to share with and if it's going to work out. So we try to avoid that with the single rooms.
Yeah, that would be a little awkward, I would think. So sharing a room with a stranger does take place on workshops?
You definitely. Yeah. You have to pay on quite lots of workshops. You have to pay extra to get your own room.
Okay.
But not with 3 nomads.
Okay, good. Well, then I'm going on your workshop.
Good.
All right. Well, along those lines then, Jacob, what kind of help do you give to your participants? Being that everyone's at different skill levels, or like René said, some people might be quiet and not even ask a question. Do you kind of say, oh, do you need help with anything? Or tell me Tell me what kind of skills you're trying to help people with.
So quite often we have, for example, people who've been photographing for 20, 30 years and then they maybe had a break and the workshop is like their little reset, So these people and the professionals, they will be perfectly happy to be alone. They're there more for the photography opportunity and maybe bonding. But then there are people who are really lost, We had like René mentioned, we had a student who never used really DSLR, only iPhone. So you really need to give them different attention. And this is where the fact that we are 3 and our groups, our workshop groups are only 10 people, 9 or 10. But then obviously each of us has maybe only 3 or 4 people to look after. And it doesn't necessarily go as we divide the group into 3, and then these are just my students. I'm not going to talk to the other ones. It's just that just like our students, they are different personalities. 3 of us are also a little bit different personalities. So we just bond with different people, different ways. And the way it works, you're right at the location, people start to build their gear and you kind of take a step back and you look at them and you very quickly figure out who is comfortable with what they're doing and what they don't. And then you just kind of go and try to approach them and help them with whatever they need. Some people, like I say, it's maybe just a question of camera settings. Some people don't even know what lens to use. Or some people just want to talk about, 10 years ago, I've been in a similar location, I photographed it, and they just want to have that chat. So we provide all of that. And it really is just up to that person or student to decide how much of it they want. We just want them to feel comfortable enough to ask and to be supported. And most importantly, leave after the workshop with incredible pictures.
So René, if you saw someone, their tripod was starting to slide down into the sands, you would quickly run over to them and say, hey, you don't have your tripod secured properly.
Yeah, we would. And also, as Jakub mentioned, we take a step back and we look at the participants of the workshop, and you see also, for instance, the composition. Then you can help them also in the composition part. Okay, let's take more of, let's say, either the sky or the countryside into perspective of your photo, because that's also something that it helps you when other people explain it to you. And afterwards, so as Jakub mentioned, when we do the post-processing together, you can see the pictures of other people and say, I haven't thought of that one. That's something that I will take into account in my next photo shoot. So we try to do it on different levels, not only where the gear is sliding away or the camera is dropping a little bit, but also on the composition and on the post-processing part.
Okay, great. I have one question because I've seen this at the few workshops I've gone to. It's kind of a pet peeve. If people are holding their camera wrong, would you take note of that and correct them? Because I've seen it in workshops and nobody says anything. They're holding their lens like this versus, giving it good support.
You're at the workshop to learn. And when we see people holding their gear, let's say, differently than what would be optimal, we can explain it to them. And we can also explain them why it is. I wouldn't approach somebody and say, you're doing it wrong. But I would say, have you thought about doing it like this? And showing them the proper way and explaining why it is a better way. Because we would like to stay away from correcting people. It's moving people along in getting better instead of correcting people and then try to get them better.
Okay, right. Good point. You don't want to get them mad at you by using the wrong words and tone of voice.
No, but it's also, as a human being, it's also the way I would like to be approached.
Yes.
For me, that's the standard. I'd like to be approached in a certain way, and I assume that other people would like to be approached that as well.
Good point. All right. Well, that takes us to our first half of questioning. So we're going to take our quick break and we'll be right back.
If you're listening to the LumiCast podcast, then we share something in common. We love editing photos, and we love Luminar. It's almost breathtaking what this amazing tech can do for you. On our website, you'll find countless different things to help you be more creative than you ever thought imaginable. From our photo manipulation masterclass to our power bundle with 986 elements, our essential preset bundle, editing software and extensions to our tutorials. Harness the power at the website at www.cleverphotographer.com/Luminar. Again, that's cleverphotographer.com/Luminar. Now, back to LumiCast.
And we're back. So now it's time for René to tell us what is included in your workshops and what isn't included.
For us, it's important that when people arrive at their workshops, take all the organization for the workshops on us. They don't have to arrange anything. So what they have to arrange is to get to the, let's say, pickup location from where we start a workshop. And as of that point, it's included that we have arranged for the hotels. We have arranged for all the breakfasts. We have arranged for the dinners, the lunches, the transportation from the hotel to the venue where we do the photo shoot. So that could be in the example of the south of France, the lavender fields, but also that we have arranged the spot where the horses will be or the bulls will be, and that's all included in the workshops. And we of course also arrange that people are getting back from the venues to the hotels, and from the hotel at the end to the airport where they landed as well, so their departure airport. The only thing that we don't include is all the drinks, because someone likes to drink water, the other one likes to drink beer, wine, and then there's also a difference in the amount of money that you would then spend. That we leave that to the participants of the workshop to decide what they want.
Yeah, that bar tab could get pretty extreme. You don't want to have to pay for that. And I assume we have to buy our own souvenirs. I bet there's lots of great souvenirs to purchase on these trips.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
And as an insider secret, we actually do have a few little surprises along the workshop as well, where people get the little things. So the idea is that, as René said, that you organize your flight, and from then onwards, we take care of everything except the drinks. So people will get and with the drinks, even with the drinks, we still get the opportunity to get them to shop if they want to buy something, or they can buy anything on a lunch, breakfast, dinner, and so on. So I think we could really try to take care of as much as possible so people can solely focus on the photography.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you take all the stress out of the planning. All your participants have to do is book their flight and show up. That's what it sounds like. That sounds great. Okay. Well, Jacob, let's see. Here's a good question. Are you allowed to bring your significant other, spouse? Obviously, they wouldn't come on the workshop to do the photography, but could they be that second person in the hotel room or not?
So this is a good question. And actually, it's a very common question because some people so if you're coming, for example, from States and you're coming to Europe, it's a big thing. The flights will cost and you're probably taking quite lots of time away. So that could be time away from your vacation on a holiday or vacation from work, So some people prefer to bring people with them. And the answer really depends on where we're going. So depending on the trip. Simply because if, for example, we are in London or we are in Prague and we stay there for 7 days, we don't move anywhere with the cars. So you can bring your friend or the +1 alongside, because it's really simple. They just use your room, they pay for their dinner and the drinks, and that's it. But when we travel, like in the south of France, where we kind of move between the different locations, we go from Marseille to Valençol for the lavender, and then we go to some of the big highlights of Provence, and then we go to Camargue, which is again 2 hours drive. Then we have to be a little bit careful about the capacity of the cars, and we charge an additional fee for the transportation alongside us. So it's definitely doable, but we need just a little bit of extra organizing on that part. And I think that kind of, for most of the workshops I ever been to, it works pretty much the same way. You can bring an extra person. Sometimes it's easier than the other. And it just, like I explained, it really just follows the transportation, which is the most complicated in it.
Or that person could just go off and do their own touring. And if you're hotel hopping, they could choose to either meet up with you or just meet up with you for the flight home, I guess.
Yeah, some people are just perfectly happy to come along and then spend the whole 7 days by the pool while the other one is going to photograph.
All right. René, when it comes to, especially, I guess, the beginners that are coming to your workshops, do you see a difference in how everyone's techniques or skills, do they improve? Can you actually see that happening after a 1-week workshop?
Yeah, when you compare the beginning of the workshop with the end of the workshop, especially when you're a beginner, then you see people grow in their photography skills, in their composition, how they look at the composition, how they post-process their photos, and also in the confidence that they have in moving along with the camera to photograph specific subjects for their photos. They really grow in their confident in, I really know what I'm doing. From in the beginning, I'm just pressing the shutter.
Mm-hmm.
And they move away from, let's say, the automatic program to a program where you can say, okay, now I've manually adjusted all my settings and I know why I have adjusted it. Because when you, for instance, have a look at tutorials on YouTube, you see, okay, the settings for this photo were, and then you see the aperture, etc. in the end, you need to know why you did that. And the best thing is to experience it, to be in the scene and get explained why, for instance, you would have a little bit of a longer shutter speed, that you have to see some movements in the clouds. If the clouds are moving faster versus slower, that it has an impact on the shutter speed that you can use. That's what we all try to explain during the workshops, so that people are more encouraged to move after the workshop into whatever topic they want to photograph and know what settings to use. And then, of course, it's you build your experience, and then you build your confidence, and then you move along to hopefully other workshops as well.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like if you don't know a lot about photography yet, it's a great way to do sort of a crash course, get a lot of information in 1 week. But if you are advanced, you have the opportunity to at least photograph these beautiful sites that you've never seen before, and maybe get a tip or two along the way, because even if you are advanced, there's still always something that you don't know how to do. All right. Well, Jakub, if someone's thinking of joining their first epic workshop like this, what advice would you give them?
Go.
Yeah.
Do it.
Save your money.
No, I mean, for example, me, René and Hannes, we are a great example on how single workshop can change your life in a way, because this is where we met. We met on photography workshop in Tuscany, which was run by another photographer, and we created friendship for life. Regardless if you just really starting, or if you a little bit more advanced, or if you're really professional and you never done it before, you should totally do it, because it's experience like no other. What to do before and how to prepare on it. Probably the most important is to choose the right workshop, to choose the right people to go along. I think that can make a huge difference, and probably each one of us has a different experiences with different people. You want it to come across as organized. You probably want to kind of see what's out there. You want to go to location that you maybe really dream about, because that could be, that's a great thing to do, And then once you choose the location, read through all the instruction, prepare yourself, and most importantly, come open to meet new people, try new things, discover new techniques, and really just enjoy yourself, because we have a lot of people who come and they are a little bit like frozen, in their ways, and this is how I do it. And this is what René was trying to explain about how people get comfortable along the workshop. You can really see it, how the first night, even though we're having dinner and it's lots of jokes and fun, some people are really just very closed, or maybe like shielded by worry, am I good enough to be here? And am I good enough photographer? And do I know enough? And slowly they start to drop. And we really try to do our best to remove this as soon as possible, because you feel like, well, some of these people, they waste 2-3 days where they could have already have so much fun, So we try all the best, or we try so much to try to join the group together and have a fun. And you can see how the first day everybody is a little bit stranger, and by the last day they're sitting on the couches together and chatting and having laugh, and it's like the best feeling ever. So most importantly, go for it. I think it's really worth it. It's an experience like no other. You will fall in love with photography even more than you ever done before. And on top of it, you will really enjoy and improve your photography as well.
And you'll have some great pictures for your portfolio too.
Exactly. And maybe 1 or 2 friends for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. All right, René. So why do you think everyone should experience at least one photography workshop in their lifetime?
It's important to have a basis to move on in your photography, because when you just do some photography based upon courses that you see on the internet, courses that you do from YouTube, it's still only, let's say, a mathematical exercise. And if you move into a workshop, you will be at the right time, on the right spot, with the right light, being able to photograph everything that you love to photograph, because the topic will be there. Of course, there may be clouds, there may be no really beautiful sunrise, but that's all with the weather. But at least you are there at the best time of day. And if you want to have all the time and all the space to do what you love to do, it's definitely worth to move towards a workshop and be in the moment and photograph whatever you want to photograph, because that's enriching for you as a photographer, but also as a human being. It's creating you a brilliant portfolio, and it helps you in your next steps in photography.
Yeah, it does sound like the next logical step, because if you spend years and years as an enthusiast, it's sort of, you deserve it. It's like a nice treat for yourself to save up and go on these epic workshops. So I think everybody should strive to get on one of these. Of course, we don't know when our life will be over. So do it sooner than later, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Sign up for the 2026 workshop.
That's it.
So that's a good segue into our final question here. So for all of our listeners, you really need to check out the website for this France conference. I guess you're calling it the Three Nomads Adventures is the name of your workshop company, if that's what you would call it. And you do an ultimate South of France workshop. And if you look at the description, you see all their beautiful pictures of these white horses and the lavender fields. And it looks like you even have some models that come in. So talk about this workshop. And, it looks like it's so well organized and just a lot of fun, because I looked at it for last year's and it just didn't quite work out. But when I looked at it last night, I was like, ooh, I think I might have to do this workshop. Tell us more about the specific South of France workshop.
You mean the best photography workshop in the world?
Yes, where you get to have your own room.
Yes. So obviously there is many different locations you can go to, but when we were preparing this workshop with the boys, we kind of thought about different locations in the south of France. We all been there separately and we thought, you know what, this is great and this is great and this is great. And how could we put it all together? And initially we were going to do just lavender field. And then it was lavender field with model. And then it was, maybe we could do a little bit of the Provence, the Abbey and the Roussillon, the Orange Town. And then we thought, what about the horses? Because Hannes, the third person, he actually did photograph the horses. So we thought, okay, well, can we put it together? And so we went down there, we went twice just to make sure that everything is organized. And we put together this really epic 7-day trip, which I think is really incredible. It's packed with incredible things. The dates for next year, because we just released it, are from 27th of June. That's when you arrive to Marseille. And we're going to be finishing on 3rd of July, again in Marseille. So all you need to do is to get yourself to Marseille. You can also get to Paris and we would help you to organize it. But you get to Marseille and that's where we start. We start in Marseille, we get together, we get to know each other, and then we straight head to the heart of lavender fields, the Valençol, which is absolutely incredible at that time of the year. You kind of drive the car and it's, very farm-like, Mediterranean and hot and everything. And suddenly you start to see the fields and you open the window a little bit and you start to smell the lavender. And it's like you're in a different world. I'm talking about it. I'm having goosebumps actually, just to remember it. It's epic. You ready for it because you've seen it on the pictures, but until you see it in person, it's really like nothing I ever seen before. There's this never-ending fields of lavender, beautiful. We get to our hotel, which has an amazing restaurant, and they serve beautiful French food, and we can have a glass of wine for dinner or whatever, and then we go out shooting. So it's amazing. We photograph beautiful sunset, and we spend few days in Valençol. Yes, we also bring models with us to photograph them in the fields. Again, if you're comfortable to do that, you can, or you can just go with one of us and photograph a sunset at the lavender field. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. And then we take a 1-day trip to these really highlights of Provence. So the Abbé de Seignac, which I never can pronounce the name right, but it's incredible. It's this like a stone white abbey in a valley with the lavender in front of it. We also go to the Roussillon and we go to other places, and it's just amazing. And once we're done with this, you almost feel like, wow, this is it. We are like, it cannot get any better than this. And this is when we get on a car and we drive 2 hours to Camargue, which is the place where the white horses are and also where the wild bulls are. And we arrive into another great hotel, which also has a pool. And there are actually wild horses around the hotel already. So you can kind of go and not feed them, but you can take a picture. And I made lots of stories there last year. And we get ready, we set ourselves and we go and photograph the white horses in the sea, on the beach. And I can tell you, I photograph lots of things all around the world. But this feeling and this moment when you're standing in front of these horses with your camera is like nothing I've ever seen before. The first night can be a little bit maybe uncomfortable, doubting, because they are animals in front of you and they're quite big. And this is why we do the second night as well, because you kind of get yourself comfortable the first night, and the second night you can see the difference. You can see how people get much more comfortable to get closer to the animals, how they're comfortable to be in the water with them because the horses run towards you, and everybody ends up with amazing pictures. And honestly, when you're leaving the second night after the second shoot of the horses. Like the smiles and the happiness in people is just like nothing I ever seen before. So we end up really on a high. We have one more dinner, and next day we head back to Marseille, and it really is absolutely epic trip.
Mm-hmm. It's like aromatherapy.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Good thing you're not driving past the poppy fields or everybody would fall asleep.
Yes.
All right. And then so René, this sounds like such a great workshop. What's the exact website or place where people can get more information about it?
That would be 3nomadsadventures.com/photography-workshop.
Okay. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. So, all right. Well, this has been great. Just a little eye-opening to let people out there know that there are some amazing workshops out there to be had. So go beyond your Zoom workshops and your camera clubs and treat yourself. Start counting up your change and getting ready to do one of these epic adventures. I appreciate that both of you explained all of this to us, and you can find more of these pictures on their website. Thank you for listening to this wonderful podcast, and Jakub and I will see you all next Friday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Now, there's only 3 things left to do. Subscribe to this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Visit our website at cleverphotographer.com/LumiCast to see what we have in store next. And stay creative and keep editing your photos no matter what anyone says.